Good morning. How are you today? This is the great time we can talk about the weather, and also we will keep talking about our social psychology. Since we live with other people, if you're looking at the right next to you, you have a neighborhood and your classmates and roommates. So social psychology is really fascinating field. We could study more and more. So we stopped here cultural influences on aggression last time. Last Tuesday was really great. I invited Dr. Sharp, who is expert in social psychology. So she shared about her experience and talk about research. So that was really great time. So here, gender-wise, if you're thinking about aggression, maybe boys versus girls, generally, who's going to be more aggressive if you're thinking about it? Maybe in your mind, maybe boys, because boys, they really enjoy rough and tumble play, and they can kind of physically very aggressive and fight each other. But honestly, girls can be really aggressive as well. So girls are more using kind of behind the scene, so indirect way, and try to isolate somebody else using some relational aggression. But I think last Tuesday we talked about this topic with Daniel, and he also thought it can be really hard, those girls' relational aggression. So when you're thinking about aggression, there are some gender differences, maybe boys versus girls when we growing up, like elementary school, junior high, and high school. So next topic, since we're talking about aggression, hate each other, maybe let's move the topic to interpersonal attraction. Have you ever fallen in love with someone else? If you had those experiences, you know the feeling is the love, be loved, and also you love somebody else. That's really important feeling, and also interaction between you and very close person. When you're thinking about junior high and high school, did you have a girlfriend and boyfriend? Maybe not, or when you are in college students, you have a girlfriend and boyfriend. So we learned about developmental psychology when you're going through early adulthood, which is early adulthood definition-wise, age 18 years old through 40 years old, those are early adulthood. But we have a term, emerging adulthood, which is age 18 through 55. So early adulthood, as by Erik Erikson's lifespan development, we really need to meet intimacy versus isolation, which means, as a human being, we are looking for another person who can share everything with you. So it can be spouse, it can be partner, it can be friends, more like you will find one before age 40. But maybe if you cannot find one, maybe after 40, you could find one too. But those age-wise, we want to find someone else who can share everything for your life and plan together. So those are very close relationship. So interpersonal attraction is really important topic. So we will dig into this topic. The desire to enhance a relationship with another person. Yeah, we all have those, like a hope in our heart, right? I really want to meet a good person. I want to meet a good, right person too, right? So factors that influence attraction, before we go there, think about what would be like a most important factors to meet those people, like a boyfriend and girlfriend and spouse and partner. What would be like a most important standard for you? So think about it. Maybe I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds. Yeah. So what would be like a most important factors to choose somebody else who can share everything and maybe plan for your future? So based on the textbook information, proximity and physical attractiveness and similarity and reciprocal liking. Proximity is maybe that person should be nearby. Usually, if I'm thinking of my experience, I didn't like someone who is really father. Which means maybe everybody likes somebody else. Maybe in our school, yeah, in my school, junior high, maybe high school, everybody loves some boy. Maybe let's say the boy's name is Henny. Because Henny is handsome and he's really cool, he's really intelligent, and every maybe girls, they really like Henny, right? But for me, if I've never talked to Henny and Henny is not nearby, and maybe I do not like him because for me, those intimacy, kind of proximity, kind of nearby someone else, that's really important. So proximity means you meet somebody else who's sort of attractive, maybe at school setting, maybe in the same classroom, maybe go to church, so maybe same church, and go to some book club, maybe in the book club situation, or maybe student organization. So you went there, maybe one of the maybe tennis club, and meet that guy over there. So it's kind of proximity is important. How do you think about proximity as one of the standard, thinking about interpersonal those attraction? Boyfriend and girlfriend, and spouse and partner. For me, that's really important. Yeah. The next one is physical attractiveness. Is there anybody you're looking for a pretty woman and handsome man? Of course we do, right? But how much do you really care about that element? But I guess most of us, we do care. Maybe the strengths-wise, maybe 100%. It doesn't matter that person's personality, maybe intelligence. Ideally looking for pretty woman, or I'm really looking for handsome man. That's it. But I think we do prepare somebody else, and maybe each individually, we do have a different standard for the attractiveness too. Yeah, so physical attractiveness, that's really matter too. It can be really specific too. Maybe ideally wanna meet a guy, at least height. Maybe taller than me. Maybe it can be your standard too. Or maybe that person should be have hair, not bald. So you have your own standard, but physically we should be attracted to somebody else, so we can begin to having those a strong relationship together. And similarity, do you have similar hobbies? Maybe similar attitude to maybe politics and maybe religion and those family plan. So do you have any similarity? Maybe prepare to certain food and take a relax. Maybe go to sea versus mountain, and those are all relating with the similarity as well. The last one is reciprocal liking. Anybody you did like a one-side love before? Maybe that person doesn't even know you, but you really like Henny. Maybe for me, the Henny example, in my maybe high school, there's a name like Henny who is really handsome and very intelligent. Every girl's like him. But for me, Henny doesn't know me, and even though I really love Henny, Henny doesn't like me, probably I will stop that relationship. Those reciprocal liking means if you like somebody else, that person should like you back. I think that's really important to me, at least. But I think some of you feel like, I think it's okay if I love someone else. Maybe that person doesn't need to be, like love me back, but I'm going to keep still like him. Maybe keep still like her. It can be possible. But those are all the elements relating with the interpersonal attraction. So let's go one by one. So the first element was proximity. Underline, mere exposure effect. That means an increase in the attractiveness of a person or object resulting from nothing more than repeated contact. Yeah. So if you keep looking some brand, some logo, you just maybe at the first time you feel like, that logo doesn't look like good. Maybe I do not like the design. But when you kind of keep expose, you may change your mind. You feel like, that logo is good. I really like it. It's interesting. Yeah. So it's a person too. Maybe you begin to see someone else in your classroom. on the first day, you feel like, he's okay, but he's not that great. But when you kind of communicate, and also do not even communicate, just kind of looking at very closely, you kind of, having those tendency to have like, I think he's okay. I like him. Yeah, getting, liking those, feelings. So those are mere exposure effect. Just like simply expose that environment, it can be really good influential. So thinking about that, let's say if you really like Henny, my example was Henny in my high school, you need to be exposed to him. You really, maybe Henny doesn't know you at all, so your strategy should be based on the mere exposure effect. You need to go to Henny's classroom and then let him see you. Yeah, expose you, how good you are, right? So even though you do not talk to Henny, maybe you may feel shy, so you do not talk to Henny, but at least you need to be surround Henny. If Henny attend a certain maybe book club, you need to join the book club and then surround Henny. So you have more chance to close with Henny. Yeah, that's interesting, right? Okay, so next one is physical attractiveness. Raise your hand. I think physical attractiveness is really important for me to choose a person. Yeah, I totally understand. I totally agree with you. Physical attractiveness can be the one. Because usually when we begin to love somebody else, at the beginning stage, is physical attractiveness is really important. First impression. First impression is really important. In order to change first impression, you really need to do so many things, like 7 times different thing if you really want to change your bad first expression. So think about how can we enhance our first impression. Think about it. Yeah, I will think too. So think about it. How can we improve our first impression? So when you talk to somebody else, try to wear nice clothing. Nice clothing means you don't need to buy brand clothes, but I guess still it's really neat and good color matching at least. Yeah. Not too like too bright, like a yellow, like a highlighter kind of color, and maybe the bottom is like a highlighter kind of pink. Do not wear those kind of too much, right? Yeah. So try to wear nice, decent, clothing, and maybe talk nicely. Maybe not too high pitch, maybe not too low pitch, kind of medium pitch of the tone, and try to smile that person, right? Because you want to get to know that person, right? And smile, and what else? The important. Maybe eye contact, looking at that person's eye, that means I respect you, and I will listen to you, right? So try to have a good, first impression. And if you really like that person, the strategy was you need to be near that person, mere exposure. Yeah, mere exposure, right? But most of us, on the first time or through mere exposure, you kind of begin to like that person. And maybe you're very attracted to their physics, physical, those, attractiveness. Universal themes, this is interesting, but thinking about more traditional view, also evolutionary perspective. Evolutionary perspective, man versus woman. It's really traditional role, and in the past, evolutionary perspective, men usually go outside, maybe go some hunting and fishing and have some food. And then bring those food to home, yeah. And at home, your wife is waiting for you with the children. And their wife will cook for you. Maybe you cook together, but eat together their food, fish, or maybe some meat with your family. Yeah. So men's perspective, they really want to looking for women who are youthful and healthy, so they can have their children. So offspring, having their offspring, their own children, that's really number one priority to seek a woman. So that's the man kind of preference to looking for attractiveness, physical attractiveness, and try to find a woman. And woman try to find a man who have wealth and status and power. That means someone who can support me, someone who can, like share those food, right? And not only with me, but also with the children. Because women usually stay at home and take care of those babies, right? So woman was seeking for the person who has power and maybe money and, maybe wealth and who can kind of control and maybe bring more supply. So is it kind of makes sense? Man versus woman. How do they kind of find their partner, their lover, right? Their significant others. But I think still, do you agree with some of the information? It's still working, in our current society too. It has been changed, and there are gender equity, and women, we do make money and go outside and work hard. Yeah. So sometimes men can be stay at home and take care of those child. So it can be opposite role as well. But traditional view, evolutionary perspective, usually men go outside and go hunting and fishing, bring some food at home. And usually, women stay at home, take care of their children, and when men bring those food, you cook and maybe have it together. So that's a little difference, right? Yeah. If you're looking at this woman on this picture, she looks very attractive to me. She's really pretty, yeah, almost like a perfect. So thinking about that, what does attractiveness mean to you, and what's your definition of attractiveness? If you are watching my lecture, thinking about it, for you, what is really attractiveness? What is that, attractiveness? What do you count for the attractiveness? So I will give you a couple of seconds and think about it. I will think about attractiveness as well. If you're thinking about some physical attractiveness, physical attractiveness, how would you call as a handsome man, maybe pretty woman? What would be most important things? So think about it. So if you're looking at this woman, I think she has really beautiful skin. Her skin tone is even perfect, right? No flaw at all. And very pretty, like a baby skin. I think, a clean skin can be really one of the big attractiveness, clean skin. And if you're looking at her hair, we do not see like hairline much, but like hairline is there, seems like a long hair, kind of brownish, long hair. Very pretty to me. And if you're looking at her eyes and nose and mouth and ears and those eyebrow, it's really perfect, very symmetric, and proportionally it's really good looking. Yeah, do you agree with that? Yeah, she's really pretty woman. But I guess it's really depending on us. Maybe some of you may maybe think about she is not attractive because it's too average looking. Maybe everything is so good. It's more like AI. It shouldn't be as a human being. Maybe you are looking for the person who is really unique, shape of nose, maybe unique shape of ears, and maybe eyes, and maybe eye color and skin tone, right? Maybe you prefer some darker skin tone, possibly. So each individual with, if we're thinking about physical attractiveness, we have a different standard to thinking about being attractive, physically attractive, right? But it's really interesting since we are talking about interpersonal relationship. Okay, let's talk about similarity and reciprocal liking. Similarity, raise your hand. If you try to meet somebody else, do you looking for the opposite kind of attract, or maybe birds of the feather that flock together, which is like a more similarity? Do you prefer to have a partner who has lots of similarity or some opposite attraction? It's really depending on the situation though, right? But for me, personally, I'm looking for more similarity. I do not know if maybe my partner is very opposite from me. I mean, it will be really cool. For example, I'm kind of afraid of everything, and do not like adventurous things, right? But maybe if my maybe boyfriend and partner really prefer to go somewhere else, hang gliding and very adventurous some activities, I will maybe feel very worried about that whole situation, maybe do not enjoy much, even though I do not do those maybe hang gliding, but I can still do concerning about my partner. So for me, I will prefer to more similarity. That's more important than opposite attraction. But I realize many students, they really prefer opposite attraction, so they could experience more different and variety of their life. Yeah, so I totally understand. So reciprocal liking, we talk together, we are attracted to those who like us. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really important. If I really like somebody else, that person should like me back. If that person doesn't like me back, probably I'm gonna stop on that day. I'm not going to pursue anymore. But I know some of you really like to maybe cherish those moments, even though the person doesn't give you any, like a cue or maybe like you back, still you can love that person. So it's really interesting. Those are, we are talking about social psychology. Every human being, we are different, but we live together in this world. So there are so many things happen. Right? And let's talk about romantic love. Romantic love, since we try to looking for the elements for like each other, interpersonal relationship, let's focusing on the romantic love. So boyfriend and girlfriend and wife and spouse and partner, right? So passionate love and companion love. Passionate love is like a love characterized by arousal and desire and open experience only in relationship. If you just fall in love with somebody else, and those are like a beginning stage of love, maybe up to 3 years. One year, first year, second year anniversary, and third year anniversary, you love that person so much. You want to kind of get together all the time. Even you go to class and you may think about that person and give you some smile, because whenever you think about that person, you just kind of feel happy. Yeah, those stages, it's more like a passionate love each other, more beginning stage of your love. But if you're thinking about your grandparents, grandma and grandpa, and also your parents, your mom and dad, their relationship, I guess, there is a, like couple, they really still have a passionate love, but most of them, I assume, they may have more companion love. So companion love is, they had those moments, passionate love, right? But now they're like 50 and 60 and 70 and 80, yeah? They more focusing on companion love, which is love characterized by deep commitment and affection and open experience later in long-term relationship. So since they married when they're in 20s, but still they get together when they're in 50s and 60s, that means those are, dedication, such a dedication and responsibility and taking care of each other. Even though you are sick, I will be still there with you. I will still support you. I will try to, cure you together, right? Those are companion love. So when we get older, we may have the beginning with a passionate love, but I guess we have a long-lasting companion love. Do you kind of agree with that? Yeah. So ideally, we should have both, right? When if you have a boyfriend and girlfriend, and if you have a partner, right? You do have both passionate love and companion love. So no matter what, I will be with you. I will support you, and I will be together with you. So those are more like a companion love. Okay, yeah. So that's really interesting discussion about interpersonal relationship and love, right? That's always a good topic to discuss. Okay, pro-social behavior. Have anybody met a person who is really, altruistic person? Altruistic means motivate pro-social behavior, and that person doesn't think about pay or maybe pay back to you, just kind of want to help you. Sometimes they can, sacrifice their money, sacrifice their time, and sacrifice their life. Yeah, so altruistic person is highly pro-social. They try to try to help you and, kind to you and, try to resolve those conflicts together in our society, no matter what. Sometimes they sacrifice their life. Yeah, so long time ago, I read a newspaper. There's a person it was in Korea. Some subway was kind of transitioning back and forth and all things, and like a little boy was accidentally fell down those near the railroad. But at that moment, one man tried to kind of jump into and try to save that boy. That the subway is coming toward that. Luckily, that man and boy both are saved. But thinking about that, if you are in that situation, do you have courage? Do you have even think about your thought to kind of jump into that, under the those subway railroad and try to save those boy? I guess that's really special. I mean, I try to be kind to other people, but if I'm in that situation, sacrifice, I'm dying, and try to save somebody else, it can be really, challenging to me. So those are altruism. So do you believe? Have you ever met altruistic person in your life? Yeah, you may raise your hand, and I know I cannot hear you, but I can feel you. Does altruism truly exist? So if somebody was really altruistic to you, is it really true altruism is kind of existing? So let's talk about theory behind why we help others. If you're looking at here, do you see lots of chocolate, right? Yeah. Have you ever been to Olive Garden? Those are Italian restaurant. If you are here, you are family. That's their kind of branding phrase too, right? So if you, I went there a couple of times, but I haven't been there for a long time. But still, I do remember. I'm not sure if they do the similar thing right now too. But if you go there, you order the food, and after eating your food, you may ask, check please, and then they're gonna give you always some mint chocolate. Yeah, Olive Garden logo on it, like those mint chocolate. And you need to kind of pay the tip. Yeah, so it was really good meal, and the server was good, and you got those mint chocolate, like a little tiny, it looks like those Hershey, those size, like a mint chocolate. It says like Olive Garden on it, yeah. Do you pay more, like a tipping? Do you pay more for your tip? Yeah, tipping is increased, or maybe same, or even like a decreased. Think about it. If you are that situation, not only the Olive Garden, if you go to a certain restaurant, they're gonna give you some gum, maybe a little candy with on that check, those board, right? Do you really think about, I need to pay more because I got this little candy, maybe chocolate, or maybe same. I'm really a critical person. I can judge by their service, not those chocolate or candy. Right? Yeah, so think about it. I will give you a couple of seconds. So raise your hand if you feel like maybe I will tip more. Because since I got those mint chocolate and the service was good, probably I need to pay $1 more because I received those. Yeah, and you raise your hand. I don't even think about that's really good way to tip more. Yeah, so I will maybe pay the same amount. Yeah. Or maybe some of you feel like I hate chocolate. Maybe I hate mint chocolate. I hate, like candy. So maybe I'm going to reduce my tipping, possibly. Yeah, but psychologists, we try to study all the relationship, right? And making a conclusion. As a human being, when you receive like a little thing, you have a tendency to kind of give back right away, right away. Not only those tipping situation, thinking about that, you have a classmate, and one day the classmate give you, oh, Sarah, would you like to have this, the cookie? It's really good. It's a brand new white chocolate macadamia. That's my favorite. So let's just say it's a brand new white chocolate macadamia cookie. Would you like to try on it? Yeah, I bought 2, so I will give you 1 for you. Yeah, without any reason. That was not my birthday. There was not, nothing related with that. But my classmate gave me 1 whole package of white chocolate macadamia. So honestly, I'm more like a give and take person, So if I receive certain things, I really want to give back to someone something for that person. So probably next day, I will maybe buy some little candy or chocolate. And thank you so much, Jennifer. Yesterday, I was really hungry. You gave me those white chocolate macadamia cookie. It was really good. But why don't you try this little chocolate? I found it. It's so good. So right away, you try to exchange. So based on those theory, those are social exchange theory. Social exchange theory. Olive Garden, when you go there, they're gonna give you mint chocolate on the check, those board, right? And they're expecting right away. The payment happens right away. Once you receive those candy and chocolate as a customer, you may kind of increase the tipping. Yeah, so interesting, right? The second theory is reciprocity norm. Maybe you may not get help right away, but later. So receive help in the future. If you help somebody else right now, you may rescue somebody else right now, maybe not right away, but in a month, in 6 months, in a year. Sometimes it can be in 3 years, it can be 10 years, you may receive back those help. So let's maybe example-wise, I was really hungry and Jennifer gave me white chocolate macadamia Joe cookies. I didn't have money to pay back right away, but I was keep thinking Jennifer did really, kind things to me and I was really hungry and it was really good cookie. I was keep thinking. At the end of the semester, toward more like a Christmas day, I prepared a little gift for Jennifer, since Jennifer treated me really nice, right? Nicely. So those are maybe happen later on. And thinking about that, maybe your parents did some really, maybe some hard thing, but you kind of try to pay somebody else tuition. Maybe for the college tuition for first semester. It can be really big money, right? Big money. But maybe your relatives doesn't have any money, but right away they really need that money to go to college. And your parents are generous enough. Your parents had a little bit of money, more than those relatives. So give that that money for the first semester of college registration fee and all things, right? Maybe the person is not that having money right away, but in 5 years, in 8 years, that person you help that person become a medical doctor, and he or she is really rich, and kind of pay back to you, even like a triple times more money back to you. Is it possible, right? Those are reciprocal norm. So basically, textbook kind of challenging us. There's no true altruistic person. Maybe true altruism is really hard to find. If you're thinking about behind the scene, why that person tried to help you, maybe social exchange theory, right away, you may tipping more. So that's why you do receive and kind of respond to those. And reciprocity norm is you may not get help right away, but later on, you may kind of maybe expect, possibly, that person cannot pay back you. Yeah, those are reciprocal norm. So next one is social responsibility norm, which is as a good citizen. As a good citizen, when you're kind of looking at homeless people, so homeless people, unhoused people, there, there are so many unhoused people, right, in Oklahoma. We do respect them. If you're looking at this news, why I bought homeless guy shoes. When you're looking at the person, unhoused person, doesn't have a shoe, it was really winter time, you just kind of, bought, the cop bought shoes and then try to give that person and please wear and be warm, right? That's really amazing love, right? Those are social responsibility norm. Why did you do that? Because I'm a cop and I'm a good citizen and try to help those other people who are in need. So that's my kind of feeling like that's my responsibility. Those are more like a social responsibility norm. So a notion of duty to help, right? Those who need it. Kinship theory is, it's really importance of passing genes on to the future generation. If you're thinking about evolutionary perspective, back then, there are not much food. And if some disease happen, everybody die, right? And try to kind of, help your relatives. So that means your same bloodline, those, kind of passing those genes to the next and next and next. So in the past, we didn't have not huge amount of population. You try to help each other, and they're all connected people, and possibly you kind of pass your own gene to the next generation and next generation. So which theory you feel like most it makes sense to you? We've been talking about social exchange theory right away. Yeah, right away, the person will pay back to you. And reciprocity norm, maybe not right away, but in 2 years, in 1 year, in 5 years, that person can pay me back, right? And social responsibility norm is, as a good person, as a good citizen in this society, I do my best to help others who are in need. Kinship theory is, actually, if I can help you, that means, I'm helping myself because you are the same as a house, like relatives and family, right? So there was the 4 different kind of perspective. Maybe we do kind of help other people, but behind that, it can be really hard to find true altruism and true altruistic person. Okay, why don't people help? So this is really interesting and kind of a challenging moment for us. Imagine in a class, maybe you are the only one. You are the only one and try to communicate with the instructor. Versus you are in classroom, there are 100 people, 100 people. So if instructor, me, am asking you, why people do not help each other? If you're the only one person, you feel like some responsible because you are the only student. Maybe you need to speak up and you need to voice up, right? But I guess if there are 100 people, you do not want to raise your hand. Unless you really want to talk, right? Because you don't need to. You feel like, somebody will do it. In this class, there are 100 students. I don't need to be the person who talk about why don't people help. Yeah, somebody will do it. Yeah. So those are, underlined bystander effect. Bystander effect. Those are decrease in likelihood that one person will help another person caused by the presence of others also available to help. Yeah, exactly example of in this class, if there are 100 students, right? Maybe not me, I don't need to speak up, right? Yeah, so we will read a case of Kitty Genovese and talk about bystander effect. So some years ago, Kitty Genovese died after being beaten and stabbed to death in a residential area of New York City over the course of 30 minutes. 38 of her neighbors came to their windows and watched. Unfortunately, no one went out to help her. No one even called the police. So think about that situation. It's really hard. It's a tragedy, right? If the same thing happened in Claremore, yeah, in our city, yeah, do you see difference? Maybe the same thing will happen. So think about it, and I will give you a couple of seconds thinking about this situation. Okay? So it will be not the area of New York City. It will be area of Claremore, Owasso, Birdie-Grass, and here, yeah, Pryor, right? So if you're thinking about those New York City, those area, there were 38 of her neighborhood, but nobody reacted for that because maybe the kid is in a bus, maybe screaming and help me, but no one even called the police. That means, oh, I'm not the only one, the resident here. Probably somebody will do it. I don't want to be get involved with that scene. Yeah, maybe something wrong with her. Yeah. So if it is happening in Claremore, do you believe the same thing will happen, or maybe not? Based on my previous students and based on my previous discussion, it will not happen same here. Everybody will try to help her, yeah, and call the police, of course. Maybe so many people will call police, and it's a small town, and we try to help each other. That's we kind of making a conclusion and discuss together. But the key point is there were not only one person. That residential area, there are about 40 people live together. You think about, oh, I don't want to involve. It's maybe too much. I'm busy now. Yeah, I need to leave soon. So somebody will call police and somebody will help her. Those are bystander effect and diffusion of responsibility. Since you are not the only one, you don't need to take care of this. Those are decreased sense of obligation to help when others are present. So let's talk about one more topic here. Let's say you were at Walmart in Claremore, and when you have a heart attack, do you think you would be likely to get help if only one person was near you, or several people were near you, or a dozen of people near you? So think about it. I will give you a couple of seconds. If you are Walmart and you have a certain like a heart attack, yeah, this is like a situational, right? So do you think you would be likely to get help if there's only one person? Maybe a couple of 3 to 4, yeah, several, yeah, people were there, or dozen, 12 people were there. Raise your hand. You feel like I will choose only one person. Only one person, yeah? How about I will choose several people. Several people were there. Yeah, several people, yeah? And I will choose many people. Many means 12. Yeah, dozen of people near there. Maybe probably I will get more help. So I kind of discussed about this topic with another class of my students. Most of them, interestingly, they choose a second answer. Several people near that person. Several people. Because they're kind of wondering, what if that one person doesn't know what to do? What if that person doesn't have a phone at that moment? Yeah. If there is like a 2 to 3, maybe one person will call the police and one person will take care of you and try to do like a CPR, right? So I wish there should be like at least 2 to 3 people, not only one. Yeah, so it's interesting, but on the line, bystander effect is if there's only one. Imagine maybe classroom example would be more appropriate. You are the only one you need to answer when instructor asks you. But if there are 100 students, you don't need to. Those are, decrease diffusion of responsibility. Okay, so let's do skin continue to breathe the air. They will exhaust the oxygen and all will die before reaching that planet. Therefore, 7 people must be eliminated so that the remaining 8 people can survive to colonize the planet. Your group is to decide which 7 are to be eliminated. This must be a unanimous decision by the group. Majority rule or voting is not allowed. The descriptions of the 15 people in this spaceship are listed on the next page. I already put those 2 pages long through the Blackboard so you can kind of read and do together these activities. So assume that this is the only information you have on these individuals. List below the 7 persons who were eliminated and briefly list the reasons for the decision. So I will give you those lists. So look at that couple of seconds, okay? So there are 15 people: Sarah Johnson, Bonnie Johnson, Susan Adams, Sam Marcus, Ruth Marcus, Father Crimble, Dr. Joe Perkins, Dr. Ed Miller, Michael Miller, John Majors, June Hart, Tom Stein, Emily Johnson, Lisa Johnson, and John Watson. I know it can be really hard and challenging, and some of you feel like I cannot do this. But thinking about this is like one of the activity, and we need to having new planet, like a new world, creating the new world. There are 15 people, but oxygen, those tank only can have those 8 people. So we need to, we cannot bring 7 people to the new planet. So there are all the conditions of those list of the people. So you need to make a decision. But if you're thinking about it and watching this TV, what is your answer? What is your decision? I mean, it can be really challenging. One time, one of the students, she said, I cannot do it, Dr. Moon, I cannot do it, that's too much. So don't be too serious, but thinking about as an activity, you cannot bring everybody. We want to hear about your opinion. What is most important thing? You need to build a new world. So imagine you are the creator of the world, and what kind of personality and what kind of job and what kind of age and maybe gender should be in the new planet. So the new planet begin to have more offsprings and more children and babies, right? So what would be like a most important element to build up the new society? So it will be challenging but interesting activities together. Okay, so since you have those paper and information, let's keep thinking. Maybe next Tuesday, we can talk a little bit about this, who will survive. Yeah, who will survive. Yeah, so I will go to next chapter right now. Excuse me. So next chapter and chapter 15 is psychological disorder, and therapy is the chapter 15. So I will explain about this chapter and chapter 15 and our future. Like we have almost like finishing this semester, right? So we don't have much time to finish this whole chapter, which means we have around like 1 month left to finish this semester. We will have a class next Tuesday, but we will not have a class next Thursday because I will present my work at the conference. So we don't have a class, but after that, that's the Thanksgiving break, whole week. We will take a break. It's really, I think Thanksgiving break somehow this year I feel really soon to have it. But after Thanksgiving break, we will meet. Yeah, that's the first week of December, Tuesday and Thursday. So our last class day is the Thursday. Those, I believe that's the December 4th. Yeah, December 4th, the Thursday, last class day. And second week of December, that's RSU final exam week. So we will take an exam that Thursday, that's our designated time. It's an online exam, but I'm going to open my exam that day. So I guess that's the 11th. 11th is the Thursday, December 11th, that's the Thursday. We will take an online exam. That's your final exam. But the final exam is not comprehensive exam. It will be covered the later chapter, which is last chapter of chapter 13, 14, and 15. Right? Yeah. So that's our plan, and we have plenty of time to finish this chapter 14 and chapter 15. So we do have a lot of activities we will do together. So here in this chapter, we will talk about what's abnormal. I know some of you do not like the words normal and abnormal. Yeah, abnormal psychology. Yeah, abnormal and abnormality. And also the concept of diagnostic and statistical manual of DSM, underline diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorder. Now it's a 5th edition text revision. That's the current version, yeah. And anxiety disorders and OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and depression and bipolar disorders, eating disorders, schizophrenia, disorders of childhood, and dissociative disorders, DID, and personality disorders. I know there are so many different kind of psychological disorders, thinking about people who suffer every day and try to deal and struggle with those daily function as well. So this is great time. I know some of you want to be a counselor and therapist who really want to help those people who suffer those mental health issues, right? But maybe some of you do not maybe interested at all about this topic, but since this is really a big portion of psychology, we want to learn about overall definition of anxiety, depression, and schizophrenia, all different kind of psychological disorder. So today is the day we want to talk about what is normal and what is abnormal. We really want to be normal, typical, right? And kind of being in that group of the maybe signed by normal and typical, right? And what is abnormal? Abnormal. Think about that. Abnormal. What is abnormal? Write down. What's the definition of abnormal to you? So I will give you a couple of seconds and write down your definition of abnormality. Abnormal and abnormality. Some of you may think about, that person is very unique and special, but I guess at a certain degree, that's not normal. I mean, it can be good versus bad. thinking about maybe a man who is really altruistic and sacrifice everything. Let's say he makes some money and he tries to share that money with everybody who are in need in their neighborhood. Do you feel like that person is normal or abnormal? I mean, he's a really good person, but you may judge him as abnormal because nobody does that. When you make money, you try to have for yours and maybe share with your family, but not with everybody, right? So it can be abnormal, right? It's a good thing, but it's abnormal. What if? Yeah, the situation-wise, normal versus abnormal. I mean, I'm the instructor, but imagine I'm wearing bikini and having lots of tattoos on my entire body and try to teach you. Is it normal or abnormal? Yeah, most of you maybe agree as abnormal, right? But it's really depending on the situation when we say normal and abnormal. So we will learn about the definition of normal versus abnormal. Okay, so let's go one by one, starting from what's abnormal and what causes abnormality and what is abnormality. So what are psychological disorders? We will talk about all different kinds of psychological disorders, a pattern of behavior that interferes with a person's life by causing significant distress or dysfunction. Those are psychological, disorder status. Yeah, it can be abnormal to you, but it will be okay to somebody else, right? It can be okay to somebody else. So it's really hard to, define clear abnormality because depending on the situation and depending on you, you may define differently. But let's talk about distinguishing abnormal from normal. If you're looking at this woman, yeah, I was thinking that she's really pretty to me. She's really pretty, yeah, blonde hair and very good makeup. But if you're looking at her body, lots of tattoo, yeah, and wearing a very kind of top, yeah, very kind of sexy top, right? A black top, maybe black dress, yeah, black dress, right? And she's your instructor who is teaching Introduction to Psychology. Do you feel like is she normal or maybe abnormal as an instructor? I know, yeah, some of you kind of raise your hand. I think she's normal. She's really cool and very attractive to me. Yeah, I do agree with you. She's really pretty to me. She can teach Introduction to Psychology. Yeah. So tattoo doesn't matter, right? Yeah. But maybe in the United States, in my classroom, possibly, maybe I can invite her and can you teach about, psychology? Yeah, she could do that. I will allow. But I'm highly doubt she cannot be, maybe instructor in Korea, the college. University, because there's some norm and standard. Wearing that kind of expose those, not one or two, like whole, like upper body of, those tattoo, and very short, kind of very tight those dress, and then teaching some, concept and maybe some, psychology at the university setting. Maybe administrative, they will not allow you. Maybe one time just guest speaker can be possible, but maybe that person cannot teach you for entire semester. Yeah, so think about that. She's totally normal. Maybe when she go to party, some social gathering, right? And when she go to book club, that's totally okay. But thinking about some occasion, maybe she do better at least kind of wear more clothing, maybe jacket, so she can be there. Yeah. So normal and abnormal, we need to kind of consider infrequency. How statistically infrequent is rarely happen. Maybe you rarely see those maybe women become your instructor in college situation. So it can be abnormal. It can be abnormal, right? Possibly, yeah. Depending on the situation and who is judging. right? And deviation from social norms. Must understand and consider cultural context. Cultural context. Yeah, I'm kind of telling you, maybe it can be okay. Maybe I can invite her as a guest speaker in my classroom. Maybe culturally okay, because maybe in the United States we are more liberal, I guess more open. Yeah, but maybe a certain country, maybe it's not allowed at all. Yeah, I'm not talking about South Korea, but other country, like a cultural difference, right? It's not allowed. Yeah, possibly, right? So we need to thinking about those deviation from social norms. And personal distress, stronger hallmark in some disorders. So when you try to thinking about normal and abnormal, and you need to get some help, like a therapy and counseling, that means your personal disturbance. How difficult for you. If you suffer anxiety, if you suffer depression, nobody will understand you. But you can tell, right? If you have a high anxiety, but still you can come to class and you can submit to your assignment, you can still having some conversation, between you and instructor and students, it's okay. Maybe you may have a high anxiousness going on as a personality, but you don't need to take medicine or you don't need to take any therapy. But depending on you, because you're suffering some anxiety and depression, you cannot come to class. It's really hard to even get up and get out of from your bed. Probably you need to meet like a medical doctor and try to get some help and get some medicine and maybe go through some therapy session, right? So those are personal distress. How much it's really bother you, how much you cannot do your daily life. That's the standard. Maybe you want to say abnormal versus normal. So impairment in daily functioning, that's the really good standard. If you cannot drive and you cannot attend the class because you have some anxiety, social anxiety, then you really need to see a doctor, get some medical help, right? But you may have a social anxiety, but you can drive and come to my class and you don't need to speak to anybody else because you're so anxious, but still you could make the class and try to do your work. Maybe it's normal. It's a normal, but you're extremely shy person, right? So depending on the situation, depending on the culture, and depending on the individual preference, we may distinguish normal versus abnormal. Yeah, it's really, maybe can be really hard question, normal versus abnormal and abnormality. So that means we need to respect each individual difference. Sometimes you feel like, I don't get it. I don't understand why that person behave in that way. I think he's insane. She doesn't make sense to me, right? But I guess, we need to understand and respect individual difference. Still, that person regard their behavior as normal, but you feel like that's abnormal. So depending on you and depending on the situation, we may differentiate normal and abnormal. And there are so many overlapping gray area. Okay? Okay, let's talk about what causes abnormality. What causes abnormality? Historical explanations. So biological theory of abnormality, which means biological factors most likely in your body, brain function, like a brain structure and neurochemicals and neurotransmitters and genes are major primary cause of psychological disorders. So amygdala, that's the fear, kind of we having those little pea size of those amygdala in your brain, right? And because of maybe too much sensitivity of amygdala, you may have severe anxiety. Yeah, anxiety, right? Yeah, and the structure of your brain is a little different, so you may suffer some severe social anxiety, possibly connected with some autism spectrum disorder too, right? So it's really biological theory of abnormality is due to the structure of the brain. and function of those brain chemistry doesn't balance. Yeah, so that's the main reason. I guess that's a really good explanation because maybe we need to have those brain function, and maybe certain area prefrontal lobe doesn't function clearly. So we need to emphasize enhancement of those prefrontal lobe of your brain. So prefrontal lobe, it will kind of help you making a decision, right? Like organizing skill and plan ahead. It will be more helpful, but more function of each brain part and doesn't secrete those neurotransmitters and neurochemicals, you may suffer those psychological disorder. It make you kind of abnormal status, right? Those are biological theory of abnormality. The second one is psychological theory of abnormality. So psychological factors, including your emotions and thoughts and behaviors and traits. We've been talking about personality. Yeah, personality. There are so many elements we've been talking about. That's the chapter 12, right? Personality. Yeah, and our primary causes of psychological disorders, psychodynamic, behavior, and cognitive and trait explanations. So we talk about chapter 12, talking about Freud, psychodynamic perspective, and John B. Watson's behavior, those theory, behaviorism, and cognitive, Bandura, cognitive and social, those relationship-wise, and trait explanation. There are so many adjectives we can describe a human being's personality, but do you still remember Big Five? Yeah, I will give you a couple of seconds thinking about what was Big Five as a big personality traits. If you're thinking about it, you need to remember one word, which is ocean. So O stands for openness, and C stands for conscientiousness, and E stands for extraversion, and A stands for agreeableness, and N stands for neuroticism. So if you suffer psychological disorder, probably you may kind of having some abnormality issue. You feel like I'm different, abnormal. Maybe your neuroticism is really high, kind of negative feelings toward your surroundings and maybe the people too, and you have a high anxiety and high depression. So sometimes you cannot make a right decision. So in that sense, it's relating with some personality, relating with a psychological disorder. We want to say psychological theory of abnormality. That's the psychological factors kind of make you having some suffering psychological disorders. And third one is social cultural theory of abnormality. Social cultural factors surrounding that person. So rather than factors within that person like a brain function and brain structure and brain neurochemicals, it's not like that. It's not individual problem. It's more like a societal problem, like our society, maybe the living condition, yeah, and culture make that person sick and having feeling like abnormal. So poverty, oppression, political unrest, prejudice, and abuse contribute to the psychological disorders. So it's not individual, maybe a difference. It's more like a societal kind of surrounding area have some issues and problem. So you may suffer those psychological disorders. Okay, let's go to the next one, underline. So what causes abnormality? This is like a masterpiece of putting all together biological reason, psychological reason, and social cultural reason. We want to say, underline, bio-psychological theory of abnormality. That's the whole thing together. Biological, psychological, and social emotional theory of abnormality. Honestly, in order to understand a person who suffers psychological disorder, we need to see all the dimensions. Not only biological, not only psychological, not only social, emotional dimension of that person's suffering, we need to consider bio, psychosocial theory of abnormality. Do you kind of agree with that? Yeah. So a combination of biological, psychological, and social cultural factors contribute to psychological disorders. So if you're thinking about that situation, and let's looking at this graph. Psychological disorders here, you may see social phobia, anorexia, and borderline personality disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, major depressive disorder, bipolar, and schizophrenia. There are so many different kinds of psychological disorder. If you're looking at here, yellow is social cultural. Social cultural factors contribute to psychological disorder. And orange is psychological factors contribute to psychological disorder. And blue is biological. Main reason is biological. Biological factors contribute to psychological disorder. But if you're looking at those, all the psychological disorder, you may notice all of those three elements are there. But there are some intensity difference, right? So if you're looking at more social phobia, anorexia, borderline personality disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, you see more social, cultural, and psychological factors influence that person to having suffered those psychological disorders, right? But if you're looking at the right side on your graph, which is OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and major depressive disorder, and bipolar, schizophrenia, honestly getting more severe psychological disorder, you may notice those are more influenced by biological factors of psychological disorder. So schizophrenia, honestly, that's really hard. That's really severe psychological disorder. Sometimes they need to be hospitalized. And they may need some assistant, somebody else to live together. Yeah, it can be really challenging for them. Yeah, so those are more toward biological influence. But of course, those psychological, social, cultural, biological issues all together, mingled and make the person who suffers psychological disorder. But if you suffer bipolar and schizophrenia, you may have a more big portion of biological factor to have contribute for your psychological disorders. So far, did you learn a lot, enjoy this chapter? Yeah, we've been kind of begin to talk about psychological disorder, abnormality, and talking about what's the definition of abnormality. What does that mean, abnormal? You may feel like I'm abnormal because I'm so anxious all the time. I cannot do certain task, and I have a really hard time to come to class. But still, I think it's gonna be okay. Maybe I can manage. I'm learning every day. So how daily your life really bother to you? You really need thinking about normal versus abnormal. Yeah, and some of you're watching